the glasses. You hear?
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're calling everybody back from their groups. You'll see people starting to come back into the room.
Mm-hmm.
The first breakout's always fun, and not knowing who's showing up and making sure we get people in groups with other group members. But it will all work itself out. And the second breakout goes even better than the first, we hope. And I think we ended up with no one in one of the topics. And we have one person in taxes. And we're going to see how the rest of the session goes out. And we may still have some shifting around to do. But that's where we are. Did everybody survive the first breakout?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
All right. All right. Well, just a review. Hopefully you introduced yourselves, but do know you may still end up with an extra group member, or you may end up in another group based on how the numbers play out. Hopefully you got your names and emails added to the workbook. I was trying to take pictures of the names in the breakout room so I can make sure who ended up where, because there were some swaps made. You probably didn't have a lot of time to explore those topic explanations, but if you haven't done that yet, we strongly encourage you do that before session 2, and you can use the Padlet to do that. I will remind you in your Google Classroom on the classwork page, if you go up to project info, the link to that Padlet is right here. And never hesitate to reach out to us. We're very responsive if you're having trouble with any of that or can't remember the next step, okay?
Mary, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
We highlighted the topic explanations that we wanted to work on. Would that highlight be safe when we come back? Would it be highlighted?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
And that may be, Jeff, if you're available, I may ask you to weigh in on this. I know some of the topics have a lot more resources than others. And we were getting some questions about whether we wanted them to narrow it down or if we wanted them to include all of the topics in their wakelet.
Unmuting. I would say that's really, I mean, I don't know what the what a lot of resources means, because as Mary shared in the wakelet, sometimes these lists get, so like practical money skills has however many that has there at the bottom. Like this seems manageable, like that there's like 6 in that one. I don't know if there's some particular topics that have more than that within one of these sections, but one of the things we'll be learning is, this is about instructional design. And so we have these nice clear headings so that you know which one is which resource, and that's a formatting thing you can do in Wakelet. So I mean, even if there were 10 practical money skills activities that dealt with your particular topic, I think that's very clear, because it'll have this header that says practical money skills and then the list of activities within. So I would say, I don't know that there's filtering needed in terms of taking out activities. And as we know, just because of the nature of the topic, some of them are just more rich with resources than others.
And thinking about it, like I think in some of the breakout rooms I was in, it's like a library that you're creating. You're not asking a student to do something with each one of these things. Instead, you're providing resources for teachers who can use that guide that's being created, or, they have a variety of things to choose from. If you're in one of those groups, and I'll have to revisit with that view in my mind of how much is there. If you're struggling with feeling like it's too much, don't hesitate to reach out and we can help you with that decision, okay? All right. On to the next one. We're going to talk about the sentence, because each of those words that you chose, Your group is going to write a sentence, and there's things we want you to think about when you're writing the sentence. So this is just a snapshot of mine and Jeff's workbook with the word scam, which was in the workbook already, and the definition was in the workbook. But then we needed to write a sentence that we felt like added to the understanding of what the word means, as well as being appropriate for the level of students we're working with. Now, the beauty of this is you can think of your students. Another teacher or educator who looks at this later may go, oh, that's too hard or too easy for mine. Well, it's an open resource, so they can change those sentences if they want to. But you need to have something in your mind. I always say, try to do something below 6th grade level. I think that's just a really good place to be. Some of you may need to go lower than that. So the first thing you do is write the sentence, and then you evaluate the sentence. So we're going to provide some resources for that. So when you write the sentence, you want to be familiar with the concept of plain language. Did you know there's actually laws about plain language for government resources? I wonder sometimes when I look at some resources, how plain they are to me, but we do need to be familiar with the concept of plain language. I have a funny way of putting it. Why use a 50-cent piece if a nickel will do? You know, don't try to make things too complicated. And there are actual guidelines, and I'm going to go ahead and point you to where those are in Google Classroom. Okay, I'm on the classwork page. There is a resource here that Jeff created for us called a skill blocks, and it has learning resources in it. I'm going to click on that. These are all the things that are available in the skill blocks. I click on the skill blocks. So if you find yourself needing more help with plain language, there's a whole collection of resources right here on using plain language that you can dig into. All of these. What is it? You know, it's a government site right there, a checklist for it, and other tools. We're going to demonstrate the Hemingway editor in just a few minutes. So let me see what like tax forms. Yeah, recent experience for me. So yeah, I get that one. So do know that those resources are there. And when you're writing your sentence, you want to think about the way that word is defined. Okay, you look at the definition that you're giving, you want your sentence to match that definition. You want to write it in either second or third person, and plain language checklist will tell you you should write in second person like you're talking to someone. But also you avoid using the I. You know, this is just an observation here. One example of a scam is when a thief pretends to collect for a charity. So kind of write it like an instruction or an informational sentence. You want it to be meaningful and contextual with the goal of building understanding. Does it add to the meaning in any way? Or do we, you know, if you said something like a scam is a bad thing to do, that doesn't help me understand at all what a scam is. But this sentence actually includes a definition in a way of what that word means. And that's just pointing out again where you can find that resource on using plain language. Google Classroom, classwork page, project info. So take a look at these sentences. Is there one there that builds understanding and will make sense to multiple levels? Put your best choice in the chat for us. Is there one that builds understanding and will make sense to multiple levels? I'm seeing lots of twos. And that's what we thought. We thought this one's better than that one. But still, this one is fuller. And I think when we analyzed that one, it might have been 5th grade level. So we're going to show you a tool. Are any of you familiar with the Hemingway editor? I know some who have been in EdTech Maker Spaces with us before are, and I will do a demonstration of it. It is an online tool, an online app. And this is what it looks like when you land on it, hemingwayapp.com. And I actually have it linked in all of your workbooks for that column where you're working on your sentences. This is just sample text, but what it does is it demonstrates the different tools this tool has. Right now, it's telling me the readability of all of this is grade 6 and it's good. How many words it has, and there's more details you can pull up. But the color coding is what I find to be extremely helpful. This red sentence right here is telling me that is very hard to read. Okay, so I look up here at it and it's actually telling me some guidance. If you see a red highlight, your sentence is so dense and complicated, your readers are going to get lost trying to follow its meandering, splitting logic. Try editing to remove the red. So you can edit right in here. If you see a red highlight, your sentence is too complex. Try using shorter sentences. All right, let me take this out. Remember, it's grade 6. And when I redid that, I got rid of the red and I got it down to 5. Now I'm going to look at this yellow and it says that one is not very hard to read, but it is hard to read. And they say, why don't you shorten it or split it? I can do that very quick. I like to leave the context there though. This app shows which sentences are long and complex. Try shortening those. You can see the yellow didn't show up, so I did a little bit better. Okay, now I've got it down to grade 4. I want to point out some of these. This says there's an easier word. This is where you're using 50 cents and a nickel will do. So you can just click right here on use and it'll swap out utilize for use. Okay, these are adverbs and they say you don't always need them. You can get rid of those. Okay, and this is passive voice, and you want to try to make that active voice. So you can say something like, the app uses green to show passive voice.